Have you ever taken something for granted or lost everything or lost something that was really important to you? Or have you ever wanted to have more fulfillment, more gratitude, more real, true appreciation for something? I was reflecting over some periods of my life and when I lost some things and when I realized why. And I'd like to talk about that in this episode. Welcome to the Go Reflect Yourself podcast, bringing you real strategies to cultivate the life and business of your dreams, full of freedom and fulfillment, starting from the inside out. Working hard and staying busy will only get you so far. To truly become happy, content, and who you're meant to be, we have to move beyond physical capacities and begin to look from within. We have to change our thoughts and our mindset into our most powerful assets, transforming you to take inspired action so you can become a better version of yourself and to have the life of your dreams.
You are stronger than you believe. You have greater powers than you know.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Go Reflect Yourself. I'm Heather J. Crider, and I'm so glad that you're here. It is a beautiful day. There is lots to be grateful and thankful for. If this is the first time that you're here, thank you. If you've been here before, thank you again. Either way, I'm so glad that you're here and that we're together and we can talk about how to go reflect yourself and why, and the things that you can do to create a pathway of success in whatever that looks like for you in your life, in your business, in your wealth, in your health, in your fun, in your fulfillment, which is all of those things, in your relationships, relationship with yourself, with your kids, with your spouse, with your friends, with your family, whatever that looks like. I believe we always have the ability to design the life of our choosing. We just sometimes need a little bit of help along the way. And sometimes we need a dose of reality. That's the hard part, right? It's kind of like when your best friend comes up to you and slaps you on the head. It's like, dude, that is a bonehead thing to say. Or, why did you do that? It's ridiculous. Or, hey, that was awesome. I don't know if you realize how awesome that was. Do it again. Sometimes just having an outside view of things sheds light and helps us to maybe keep fighting for what we really want or what we really believe in, or discovering what we really want, or discovering who we really need to become. And I'm going to repeat this a million times. If you've already listened to me, you've already heard it. And if you listen to me in the future, you're going to hear it again and again and again. Because I firmly believe if we can understand who we want to be and who we're meant to become, then we can. It's like having a self-fulfilling prophecy. Be careful what you say and choose your words carefully because it just may come true. Good or bad, right or wrong. That's the way the universe works. That's the way our minds work. Because where our focus goes, our attention goes, guess what? That's not just woo-woo talk. It's not just, oh, if I put it out there, it'll come back to me. And I say it in that way because a lot of people feel that that's just so woo-woo-y. No, it's true. It's how your brains are wired. It's how our brains get rewired. Our brains have this capability of growing a strong neural pathway, these neural connections. The gray matter in our brain actually can change based upon what we focus on. If we are an engineer who only deals with very technical things and uses that side of the brain and doesn't do other things to create creativity or even happiness or fun or whatever. I don't want to pick on engineers. I don't know why. First thing that came to my mind in thinking of something very focused and very technical, if you will. But the brain shapes based upon that. What you focus on is how the brain gets rewired. And I say rewired because we can always rewire it. If there's something that's not working or a different version of ourselves, guess what? We can rewire it. We can. And oh gosh, I just think about this so much. There's so many parts of the brain and how it works and how it equates to our success. But when I say the who that we are to become, sometimes we don't know what that looks like. And I love doing this exercise of really taking a look at that. It's not just what our goals are, but it's who do we want to be? How do we want to feel? How do we want to act? And then we think about that and we become that and we focus on that. We focus on the things that we need to do to become that. And I know this because I've been there and I'm still there. And I was really thinking about this not that long ago of my path and my journey. And I will talk about this more later because there's so many stories I can give you and so many different paths I can give you. And there's so many journeys I would like to share with you. But one I'd like to share very specifically right now is really thinking about why I had to go through some of the things I had to go through. And it's so ironic of where you end up because that's what you need. And I absolutely needed some life lessons. And when I really kind of go backwards and think about things, I did not have a perfect childhood by any means. There were people who definitely had a worse, harder, more tragic upbringing than I did. I certainly had my very, very fair share of struggles. But when I got to college, I put myself through college. I was the first in my family ever to go. And I actually quit high school early. A lot of people don't know that. And I honestly, forgive me, I don't remember if I've talked about this on prior episodes, but I actually quit high school early so I could go to college early because I was ready to get out there and get started, and I needed to get started with my life. And I knew I had a very pivotal time frame that if I didn't get to college sooner than later, I might not make it. And that was the decision. It took a lot of courage. I did not have the support then. Many people were like, you're quitting high school. That means you're going to be a dropout. You're never going to amount to anything. You'll probably, have 10 babies or whatever, just the stereotype. And I didn't care. I did not care what people thought. And looking back, I'm not sure I would make that same decision now, of course, knowing what I know and going through experiences, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't really scared. I knew in my full being that I had to do that. But fast forward, I didn't really intend on bringing up that part of my life story, but I did. I went to college and I was completing my first semester of college when my high school classmates were graduating, which was weird. And honestly, it was embarrassing in a lot of ways. And I felt ashamed in a lot of ways. And it took me a long, long, long time to be proud of myself. Very, very long time. I mean, probably within the last 5 years even. So I'm dating myself now. Gosh, I can't believe how fast time is going by. But yeah, it's been a while. But as I got through college, let's just kind of fast forward because I actually have a point to all of this. And when I got through college, I got my first career and I was doing well. I mean, straight out of college, I got my bachelor's degree and got a wonderful career, a job with a corporation, and I was doing well in that time frame for the amount of money I was making, the benefits I had, the opportunity. It was really fantastic. And at the time, I got married right out of college and continued my life, continued my path. And there was a point where I really had everything. If you kind of take a step back and look, I had no student debt. When I say I put myself through college, I did. I worked my tushy off to do it and paid off my debt, what I had, very quickly. And I was very responsible, did everything right and bought the house, saved the money, had the career, from the outside looking in, had everything. Now I'm going to talk about this from a purely financial perspective right now, because it's a very important perspective on mindset. And at the time, I thought I had nothing. I thought that I was broke. I thought I was living paycheck to paycheck. I thought that because I didn't have $1 million in the bank and I didn't have a mansion on a hill, that I had nothing. And I really approached every day like that. I approached every day with lack, and I approached every day with, it's not good enough. And I approached every day with, when is the bottom going to fall out? And oh my gosh, I mean, as I sit here and think about it and talk about it, I've got goosebumps and the hair on my arm is standing up, because those are real thoughts and feelings I had. And they were further from the truth than they ever could have been. No, I didn't have $1 million in the bank. No, I did not have a mansion on a hill. But I had everything. I had no debt. I had your normal bills. But I could do whatever I wanted, within reason, of course. I was living a very, very, very comfortable mid-America life. And I was young. I'm still in my early 20s when I'm having this conversation. And I missed out on a lot. I missed out on a lot of fulfillment in life because I robbed myself of it. And what's interesting is I had a goal of being able to make something of myself. And when I made that decision to quit high school, to go to college, that was my goal, was to make something of myself. And I guess when I did, it was like, now what? Because it's not good enough. And I never even really looked at it as I made it. I looked at it as I accomplished the goal. I graduated college. I did it. I tried really, really hard to graduate early even. I still graduated college before my high school classmates graduated college, which is crazy if you really think about it. But I still felt like I had nothing. And that was the mindset, one, that I had grown up with, was from scarcity, was from lack, was from you just live paycheck to paycheck, you struggle, you aren't fulfilled, you don't do the things that you really want to because it's too hard, or because you're not supposed to, or because other type of people get to do those things and you're not that type. That was part of my money mindset story. But the truth is, and this is my point of what I really want to talk about with you today, is I took it for granted. I didn't have $1 million, but what I did have was security. I had a wonderful career. Wonderful. I had a wonderful career with benefits. I had a salary that I don't know where it stacked at the time, but it was good. And I was a new management person out in mid-America, making a very comfortable wage. I didn't have much wants or needs. I got to do what I wanted for the most part. I had a house, I had a car. I could go out to eat. I could buy clothing, but it wasn't good enough. And I took it for granted. I really did. There were days where I just felt like such a loser because in my mind, because I wasn't a millionaire or because I didn't live in a different neighborhood, I was nothing. I had nothing. I was a loser. I hadn't made it. And, it's kind of laughable if I really go back with the lens that I have now and look at my mindset and the person I was then. But this lasted for a really long time for me. Really long time. And it's my priorities and the focus that I put. And the truth is I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to change that mindset. I didn't know how to pivot into abundance. I didn't know how to see abundance. All I knew at the time is work hard, make money, save money. Maybe if you're lucky, you could win the lottery. Maybe if you're lucky and you work for 20 or 30 years, you might have an upper management or a high executive where you may save and eventually become a millionaire. But there was so many things going on in my mind at the time. I didn't know how to process it. I just knew it wasn't right. It all felt icky. I was sick of myself. I was so sick of, why am I struggling with these thoughts? Why? Things aren't good enough. Things weren't good enough. And the truth is most of it was me and my mindset. I had other circumstances, yes. But I had control over my mindset and I had control over how I controlled it and my thoughts and my feelings. But I didn't know. I didn't know how. And I really started my self-development journey, if you will, when I was 18 years old. And I feel like I've talked about this before. I had the opportunity to meet Zig Ziglar, which was amazing. I am so thrilled and honored to have been able to meet Zig Ziglar. And I really think that was part of me having this internal struggle, but I didn't have the skills or tools, and I really didn't know what to do with it. And even though I was learning and reading, I wasn't able to connect it in the right ways. And I wasn't able to really take control because there was so much. I'm talking about, a lifetime of programming and a lifetime of thinking and mindset and stories that not only I heard, but the stories I told myself. And so fast forward to that moments, I'm in my early 20s and I really have everything. The outside looking in, I had everything. But I was so broken on the inside and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to process it. Financially only, if I look at all of this financially, if I fast forward a little bit, I pivoted into a couple different careers and then I started my entrepreneurial journey and started my own business, which was great. And from a growth perspective and learning perspective, all of those things are very positive. But I still had the mindset that kept me in a very limited way of thinking and kept me in a lack. It kept me, my paradigm at the time was, it was black or white. I either was a millionaire or I was nothing. And I robbed myself of a tremendous amount of joy. I robbed myself so much and blamed myself because it was all or nothing. And I'm being very honest with you right now because I want you to understand everybody has their own story and their own journey and their own versions. And some are worse than others. Some are more obvious than others. The way I think doesn't mean that that's the way you think. My history and the struggles I've gone through certainly don't mean you have or will or should. It just means this is my version. And this is why I do what I do. Because I've learned so much. And gosh, I really am a little emotional right now. This is crazy. Seriously, I really am a little emotional because I'm just thinking about how far I've come, but why I've come the way I have. So when I go back and I think about those times and those periods, if I go back to that example where I thought I was nothing, it was all black or white. If I wasn't a millionaire, I was nothing. But there was always this thing inside of me that kept pushing me of more. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it was just the perspective that I approached it. I didn't engage with that in a curious enough way. And I didn't engage with that in enough self-compassion. And I didn't engage in a way that it took me a long time. Let's just say that. That's obvious. It took me a long time to engage with these feelings in a productive and an open and an honest way. And I kind of had to go through some lessons the hard way to see them. Now, I don't know how religious you are, but I have always joked, and I have quit joking about this, but I've always joked about the burning bush or signs, things like that. And my joke was, number one, why can't God just send me an email? Because, right, we need like super clear answers. God, just send me an email. Tell me exactly these signs. I'm not getting them. I'm being hit upside the head and I'm still not getting them. And I've said this multiple times that if there was a burning bush on my leg, I would look down and I would see the name Heather on it. And I'd be like, no, I'm not sure if that's for me because it just says Heather. It doesn't say Heather Crider. And then I took it a step further and I was like, yep, if the burning bush were on my leg and it said Heather Crider, I would go, well, are you sure that's for me? Because it doesn't say Heather J. Crider. So I'm not positive that it's for me. And right, what an awful thing to joke about. But I think I was being honest with my own self-limiting beliefs on not fully tapping into the signs, not fully seeing the resources, not fully trusting my gut. All of those things come together. And regardless of your spiritual belief or not, signs are all around us. All around us. And signs were all around me then too. I couldn't see them. Or maybe I didn't want to. Maybe I didn't know how to. Maybe I was just scared to. But the truth is I needed to lose it all. I didn't want to, but I needed to. And this is where the really humbling part comes into play. Because I had set myself up, even though I was going through this path, feeling like I had nothing, feeling like I wasn't anything, feeling like I was destitute, feeling like I hadn't arrived. I took it all for granted. I mean, there was a point in time I had people visit me that they loved where I lived. They loved not only my home, but the location, I had it all. But I didn't see it like that because I looked at things in different lenses. And I'm okay with that now, but I really beat myself up for a long time about taking it for granted and the decisions that I made both along the way and after the fact. And what I mean by that is I lost it all. I had it all. I had a very comfortable retirement. I had a very comfortable life. I had a very comfortable... It was easy. And I guess I took it all for granted. Quite frankly, I was a major brat about the fact I didn't have everything I wanted. And the truth is at that time, what possibly more? You know, maybe I didn't have a personal jet on a runway waiting for me. But I mean, from a fulfilling perspective, would that have made me any more fulfilled if I had a jet and I could go to Paris when I wanted? No, it wouldn't have. It would have been fun and it would have been a momentary pleasure, but it would have faded very quickly. And I still would have been left with these confusing thoughts of lack. And that's why I started Go Reflect Yourself. That's why I've been on the path that I've been on for so long. And especially over the past 5 or 6 years specifically, trying to help and share and coach and train and have other business people and leaders and executives and to be able to go through these things because they're very, very important, and to be able to take control of your life and to have that happiness and joy and fulfillment. But I was a brat. And that's not a very kind thing to say to myself right now. It's not. But that's really how I was acting at the time because I just didn't know how to fully be grateful. Because I felt at the time that if everything wasn't perfect, if all my goals hadn't been met, then I was nothing. And so I took what I did have for granted, and then I started losing, and I started losing more. And I started making decisions, and I started doing things. And then I got into some bad business deals, and then I got into some bad business relationships, and it all kind of fell apart. And I lost it all. I'll be very honest. I lost it all. And that's when I was really forced to take a good hard look. And what's ironic about that is throughout my entire life, I've had these successes, and then I've made these decisions, and then I've done things for different reasons. And it's been this kind of roller coaster, and I've had great, great, great success, but it didn't fulfill me. And then I'd lose it. And then I have great success, and then I'd lose it. And it was just kind of this cycle of a roller coaster for me. And so it's happened more than once in terms of creating something and then losing it, and then creating and then losing. And I've learned from every perspective. I can tell you the highs and lows of business. I can tell you the good and bad of business. I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you what to do. But until I was able to really start mastering my mindset, until I was able to start really retraining my brain, that's when it started changing for me. When I gave myself a good hard look in an open and self-compassionate perspective and started believing that I had control. I could radically change my life once I believed I could. And I'm not just talking about it from a results perspective. Results are secondary. How you feel and your internal fulfillment is way more important. Because I've had the external successes, and I was not any more fulfilled than when I didn't, when I was a struggling college student with nothing. And truthfully, I was probably more fulfilled in college in a lot of ways because I was doing what I really, really set out to do, even though I took it for granted. And that's really my story that I want to share with you right now today. And this conversation could go on for 24 straight hours. I could pivot it into other things. We could talk about goals and more self-reflection and people and influence and failure and masks and we will. I really want to talk more about those things, and I don't want this to be heavy. It feels very heavy for me right now, honestly, because I feel very vulnerable. I feel like that this is something maybe it is part of a mask where I don't want people to see my struggles. I don't want people to see that I haven't always had everything together. A lot of people see me. I've had people tell me that they see me as this very strong, successful person that always gets things done. And I'm honored. I'm so honored that people see me that way. But very often I feel like I'm completely different than that. And I think that's where really probably over the past few years, if I'm being very honest, that I've been able to kind of balance those two images. I've been able to step into that power a little bit more and see myself as that as well, and have this internal fulfillment and have this internal perspective that I can design what I want because I feel a certain way. And how do you do that? I guess that's why I want to talk about this, because I needed to lose everything. And I don't want anybody to have to go through what I've had to go through. I've had to go through many, many things, and I don't want anybody to have to go through any of those things. But to shortcut it and to help not have to, I guess, is what gratitude and appreciation really come from. And this may sound cliche, but if you don't appreciate what you have, then why are you going to get more? And if you want something better, but you don't appreciate what you have, why do you deserve to have something better? Those are kind of cliche statements, but they really are true. And in the grand scheme of things, that's what I failed to do. I failed to appreciate. Quite frankly, I disrespected what I had. I disrespected who I was. I disrespected what I had accomplished in a lot of ways. And that's really what I want, my message that I want to leave with you. And this conversation is, don't go through that. The more you can appreciate and have gratitude now, the more you can become who you're meant to be. And this is part of that reflection process. And I will say that if you're listening and you're still listening to me right now, you're very well on your way. And we have a plethora of resources now, even from when 20 years ago, when I first started this journey over 20 years ago now, which is scary. But we have so many more resources now than I had then. But it doesn't matter, all the resources, if you're not really able to be honest, if you're not able to do what it takes. And by doing what it takes, they're the simple things. They really are the simple things. It's stop, be mindful, have a moment of gratitude. And the more that we can practice that, the better. I'm going to close this story now, and just know that in upcoming episodes, I'm going to talk about these things in a little bit more detail. I'm going to talk about money mindset. I'm going to talk about self-compassion. I'm going to talk about decisions and influence and how to balance and harmonize those things. But my lesson for you today is have appreciation, have gratitude. And thank you for listening to me. This is, honestly, it's not easy for me to talk about. It really does kind of remove a layer and open some vulnerability. And clearly I haven't given you like very specific details of my life, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's really for you to look at what you have. You can always look at what you want. You can always look at who you want to be. Those things are good. It's good to want to improve. It's good to want to grow. But if you're not able to appreciate what you have, where you are at right now, then you're just not. And you're going to be on a hamster wheel. And that's what fulfillment really leads to, is a true, authentic appreciation. And that's my story. That's my story today. And I'm sticking to it. So thank you for listening. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you. And as always, please reach out. And I am going to leave you with a little exercise, so stay tuned. And now it's time for the Go Reflect Yourself tip of the day. What can you do to help with appreciation and gratitude? It's simple. Just do it. Just do it. Just appreciate. I've mentioned in prior episodes keeping a gratitude journal. And really, it's that simple. If you, any moment, have a gratitude journal where you can stop for just a moment and breathe and have a quiet, mindful moment where you can breathe, calm your brain down, give some oxygen to your brain, and feel in your body true appreciation for something as simple. I'm looking at a candle on my desk right now. I'll give you a very specific example. So I'm going to do this right now. And I'm just kind of breathing. I'm letting my body relax. And I'm really just feeling this candle, the senses, I'm holding it in my hand. It's a small candle in a jar. It was a gift. Someone gave this to me, someone whom I love and appreciate. And I didn't ask for this candle. And it smells delicious. It means a lot to me. And I just kind of feel in my body right now. My head's kind of tingly in a good way. I feel some heat in my face that's kind of almost like that blushing feeling. It's appreciation. And maybe I can just quickly jot it down in my journal. I appreciate that this gift of this candle makes me smile. And I'm grateful for that. But that's how it starts. Those things, it's that simple. That's how it starts. It's the compound effect of gratitude, the compound effect of what that snowball of gratitude can create. So that's my tip of the day. Stop, breathe, feel, and find something that you're grateful for and that you appreciate, because it doesn't take much. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Go Reflect Yourself. For more inspired action or to stay in touch, head on over to heatherjcrider.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram at #HeatherJCrider or #GoReflectYourself. Until next time, I'm challenging you to go reflect yourself. We'll see you soon.